Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you. Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. And Ramadan Mubarak. We got about 10 minutes before the sun comes up here in Chicago. I'm going to have me some quick water before that sun comes up. So welcome. I pray that your fast is going well. Welcome to those of you who are already in the chat. Brother Lamont, wa alaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem, good morning. Sister Felicia, wa alaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem to you as well. Sister Alita, wa alaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem, blessings to you as well. And I see some of y'all who are on, but a little shy about being in the chat. So today, I want to revisit a subject that we talk about often. If you are a fan of the show, you know that I've covered this subject in detail, and that's the subject of doing for self. And I just want to give us some reminders, tweak our thinking a little bit, and just get us back on track. the month of Ramadan is a great month to begin thinking about doing for self and refocusing on self, and really refocusing and understanding what that means. And before we jump in, let me give you all a couple quick announcements. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on the Spiritual Injection Program. We're going to be doing a master class on money psychology. It's actually an introduction to a master class, because we're doing a big master class in London later on this summer, and I'll let them make that announcement. But tomorrow is the introduction to the master class that I'm going to be conducting. It'll be facilitated by student minister Abdul Hakim Muhammad, and then I'm going to conduct the money psychology course. So go to Spiritual Injection on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere online, Spiritual Injection, I believe.com, and get yourself registered and get set up for that. I don't think you're going to want to miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been on shows with them the last 2 weeks, and we have been having an absolute blast. Absolute blast. And so that's that piece of it. You see scrolling across the bottom, SajdahHouseDonations.com. I ask that you go out there, make a donation. No amount is insignificant, although we need the big ones right now at this point. So we got to get some chunks of money in, and that's where it is. Go to SajdahHouse.com, get your commemorative Elijah coin. There's so much to be said right now with what's going on in the financial community about copper and about collecting commodities. And I just find it so fascinating and intelligent that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad encouraged the creation of these coins out of the recycled copper from his home, and then putting them in this collectible format. And now with the decrease in the dollar prices, and some people say the dollar is the fall of the dollar, the end of the dollar. I know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad predicted that, 40, 50 years ago. Some are saying the end is here and we are in the end. And so they're encouraging people to buy gold, silver, copper, and to buy it in the collectible format. And let me play a quick little video on one of my favorite channels, kitco.com, one of my favorite financial channels. And they're talking a little bit about the power of copper. And then we're going to come back and get into do for self. Okay. All right. So stay tuned.
So you're still more bullish in terms of appreciation on copper than you are on gold within the next 5 years?
Copper is a critical metal. I want to be invested in gold and copper in particular, because copper is the critical metal of the future. Without copper, there's no electricity. Without electricity, we have no transportation, we have no communication. Think about it, it's like we don't have the lifestyle we have without copper. The difficulty with copper right now is the production is pretty well maxed out, and the industry is not putting enough money back into developing new projects. Not because they don't want to, but again, it's access and process. Is that new discoveries are far and few between, and then it takes 10 years to permit and build. It takes a long time.
There you have it. So just go to sajdahhouse.com, SAJDAHHOUSE. Use the discount code Ramadan23 to get 10% off. And that's only good until the end of Ramadan, which is April 21st. So take advantage of it. Trust me, membership will have its privileges. And we're calling this the membership coin because the registration number on the back, which is on all collectible coins, is what's going to be your membership number. So this is going to be a hot commodity very soon. You see where the market is going, and we have a limited number of these. So with the limited number of them, if you know anything about economics, the value will increase relatively rapidly once they are all sold. So again, sajdahhouse.com, SAJDAHHOUSE, discount code Ramadan23 to get 10% off. Okay, so now let's get into our subject. We're talking once again about doing for self. We've covered it on the radio show. We've covered it on this show. We've covered it in the manifestation series. We're going to cover it here again on the Saturday morning coffee talks. What I believe, and I've experienced this actually myself, is that many of us get to what I call, and what the minister calls, I'm going to read a quote from him, an educational plateau. And what happens is we kind of think that we're arrived. We think we're already where we're supposed to be. We're getting certain accolades in life. We think we're already smart. And so to really continue to study is almost a blow a lot of times to our ego. And so when we hit that plateau, we will see that our manifestation levels begin to level off. And once they level off, they ultimately will tip off and will end up dying. This is why when we move away from the study, move away from our love for the teachings, move away from our goal, you start to see the slow erosion of what we've been taught. It's really a slow death. And it happens so slowly that you don't even realize it until you telescope out and look at yourself and go, whoa. And you have to look at yourself spiritually. You have to look at yourself mentally. You have to look at yourself physically. You have to look at yourself financially a lot of times in order to be able to see it. And we're going to cover those areas. But let me give you a quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan regarding an educational plateau. Welcome to those of you who just joined the chat. Walaikum salam and Ramadan Kareem. Let me know in the chat if you guys are okay. Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talks. So this quote that I'm going to read to you from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is actually his response to a question in a book written by Brother Jabril Muhammad entitled, "Is it possible that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still physically alive?" And I just want to read this. It's a little bit out of context, but I want you to get this point about educational plateauing. So he says, and this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He says, in education, there is a thing that is called a plateau of learning. When one reaches a plateau of learning and stops there, the process of learning stops and the process of intellectual death begins. So when I saw my leader as dead, the fountain of my spiritual and intellectual growth had died. I'm going to leave that there because oftentimes we get upset or we get disappointed and we decide that the teachings aren't important, and then intellectual death starts to slowly creep in on us. That's a whole nother subject. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in this beautiful book here called Message to the Black Man, if you don't have one, you should get it. It's available at the Final Call store in both English and in Spanish. This book talks to us about doing for self. That phrase, do for self, is kind of like the phrase word is bond. Well, it was adopted into hip hop culture or pop culture, and people say it all the time, but the deeper meaning of it, we don't really think about. And in this book, when you start to, even starting at page 31, and I'm not going to read a bunch, I just want to read some of the titles before we get to this one particular part. And he's talking about what the Black man must do for himself. Is first he says, know thyself. Then he says, first love yourself, and then understand yourself. help yourself before helping others. Okay. Get the knowledge, attain knowledge so that you benefit self. I'm paraphrasing. And get knowledge of yourself. And then he goes on, accept your own, teach your own. And then finally, he says, the so-called Negro must do something for himself. A lot of people get freaked out when they see that word Negro. That's what we were referred to in the 60s. You know, the name that the colonizers have used to call us, have used to describe us, has changed over the years. Just like Easter changing days, right? So he says, in unity, we can accomplish much. And so he goes into, I'm not going to go into it, but I want you to read this and read this book and read this section. And if you've already read it and you think you already know it, go back and read it again. Because the beautiful thing about reading is, depending on where your consciousness is at the time, it can change what you receive from the words that you read. And so I encourage you to read it again, just in case you are experiencing some type of educational or intellectual plateauing. So there's 4 different elements, and somebody can put this in the chat for me, that we're going to cover. Spiritually doing for self, mentally doing for self, physically doing for self, and financially doing for self. The financial piece and opening up businesses is what most of us think about when we think about doing for self. Okay. A lot of us will go into business and neglect ourselves spiritually. We'll neglect ourselves mentally. We'll neglect ourselves physically. Oftentimes we may go and be really spiritual, but we neglect ourselves financially and neglect ourselves physically and neglect ourselves mentally. Some of us may be really deep into mental development. I mean, we're studying, we're into Dianetics, we're doing all of this work on our mental state, but we've plateaued and neglected our spiritual state, our physical state, and our financial state. So much of this, some people work out obsessively and they work out so much, but then they forget about developing themselves financially, spiritually, mentally. So there's all these different scenarios, and I want us to just open up and think about this today. And, go back into some of the other times that we've talked about this and kind of put it all together. My podcasts are available on Spotify. And make sure you guys like and subscribe to this page. If you have not liked and subscribed to the page, take a minute right now and go and like and subscribe to the page. So let's start with the spiritual piece. We know that during Ramadan that we're being encouraged to, of course, we have require reading every day. There's lots of studying. But this is what I want to say to us spiritually. I grew up with mornings being designated for spiritual food because my grandmother used to read the hymnals in the morning. And so I kind of knew as a child intuitively that you get up and she'd get her coffee and sit down and read the hymnals. And so I started reading those hymnals with her. It's like a little practice, nothing too deep, just reading the hymnals. And then when I became a Muslim follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I was blessed to meet and spend some very invaluable time with Mother Sajdah Muhammad. And I would see her every morning get up, do her Fajr prayer, and then she would study. And I'm talking about deep study, like research, and really just kind of, then she'd have a period where she'd just sit there in silence and maybe in the sun. I remember looking for her one morning, and I remember walking and seeing her sitting on the stairs, just absorbing the sun very quietly. And so I started to pay attention to those practices, because it was something that I was familiar with. But watching how she would read the Holy Quran in the morning, she would take whatever she was dealing with to Allah in the morning. She would listen to Allah in the morning. She would study her lessons in the morning, or anything, any other kind of information that supported what she was working on or what was important to her at that moment. And so those mornings were preserved for spiritual food. And this is a very important thing, because you're using knowledge and education to fortify your intimate relationship with Almighty God. And this is how we do for ourselves spiritually. In addition, our gratitude process. So for me, in addition to that, when I move around throughout the day, one of my prayers is that I can always be found to be grateful. The second thing is I'm looking for Allah everywhere. I was on a walk the other day and just saw a turtle right in my path. And I was like, whoa, what does this mean? And he was kind of like in the road a little bit. So I had to help him get to the side of the road. And it was so interesting because when I bent down to get my phone and unlock it again to take a picture of him, he disappeared. And I know he don't move that fast. So he may have gone like kind of like down in the side of the grass. But I just think that that's important. So as we're moving through, I ask Allah if every breath I take can be a breath of gratitude. Because in meditation, we focus on our breath. And so I want my breath to be a prayer. I want my every heartbeat to be a prayer, to say to him, thank you and I love you. Every time my blood pulsates and courses through my body, I want that to be a prayer that says, thank you, Allah. I love you. Every time light pulsates in my eye, or I use any of my senses, I want the functionality of who I am to say, thank you, I love you. And so in that process of looking for him everywhere, I'm continuing to fortify the reality of God. The fact that he is involved in my life, the fact that he is intimately involved in my life, the fact that he cares about me, the fact that he's never forsaken me, the fact that he's always with me, preparing a table for me in the face of my enemies and in the face of anybody else who's a naysayer. He's always putting the right people in my path and putting me in the right places and the right situations. So I want to make sure that I'm always acknowledging that. And so I'm asking him, not only make me your conduit, but make me recognize you even in ways where I consciously cannot even think of you. Consciously don't even think of you. As my voice is reverberating out of my vocal cords and into this computer and into this microphone, may that vibration say, thank you, Allah, and I love you. May the whole vibration of my being, the way I vibrate, the way I move, may everything I put my hand on say, thank you, Allah, I love you. The softness of my skin, the glow in my face, may it say, thank you, I love you. Every garment I put on, everything I do to decorate my house, I want it to say, thank you, Allah, I love you. As continued fortification and recognition for a power greater than myself. So that's how I spiritually do for self. Every sound, and the fact that I can even discern those sounds says, thank you, Allah, I love you. Every step of the way. If I can feel the bottom of my feet on the carpet, on the floor, and the very feeling of those fibers says, ah, there you are, Allah. I love you. So we should be looking for him everywhere and being grateful to him everywhere. And the more and more we look for him, the more and more he'll show up. And the more and more we're grateful, the more and more he'll show up. So that's the spiritual side of it. Feeding ourselves spiritually, and it's a great time to do it in the morning before you start thinking about what all you got to do and before all of the contrary vibrations. And it's a great way to set your vibration for the day. Study and research. I mean, I move my research around the house. Sometimes I do it outside. Sometimes I do it in the kitchen, sometimes in the living room, but I'm always trying to figure out what more can I study. And I'll say, Allah, what's my assignment this morning? What do you want me to look at? After I finish my prayer and I just sit there in silence with you, letting you know how grateful I am for you and how much I love you, what's my assignment? What do you want? What do you want to express through me today? How do you want to let everybody know that your presence is here and that you are here? Who do you want me to connect with? And may that connection also say, thank you, Allah. I love you. So we're looking for him in everything, everywhere, everything we can think of. The trees outside, the budding flowers, everything. The turtle that was in my path the other day, which has a very spiritual significance. So anyway, that's the spiritual side of doing for self. Attending our mosque meetings so that we stay vibrationally connected to our community. If you go to church, going to your church meetings and going to church and staying spiritually connected to your community is also a part of feeding. The beautiful thing now is that we can attend online, right? We've got, prayer meetings we can attend. We've got all the stuff we can do now online and ways in which we can fortify our spirit. All right, family. Here's the next one. I see some questions. Do I see some questions in the chat? Okay, we'll come back. That's the spiritual side of it. Then there's the mental side of it. And mental meaning mindset. What do we think? What kinds of conversations are we having with ourselves? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan addresses this so beautifully in the series of study guides that were revealed to him. The study guides are like revelation that our beloved sister Ava Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with her, captured and recorded and organized for him. Those study guides, they're addressing us spiritually, but they're also addressing the mind, the will, self-improvement, the basis of community development, and keeping up with those study guides. I also do a lot of studying to help tweak my thoughts. This is what our manifestation series was about here on the channel. And if you like and subscribe to the channel, you can go back and binge on the manifestation series. So we start talking about what conversations are we having with ourselves. That comes directly out of our study guides. What is our mindset? How do we see things? What is the lens through which we view everything? And doing for self spiritually helps that lens, helps to put that lens in focus, right? You know how when you look at a camera, sometimes it's out of focus and you got to kind of play with it a little bit to get it in focus, where our spiritual doing for self can help us with that. It can help us to fine tune and tweak that lens. And so mentally is very important. I study emotional intelligence. I was struggling at a point in time in business, and I had to really learn to dissect myself. And I was having a hard time and getting really emotional and egoically driven because of it, because I plateaued And I was ready to go to that next level, but I had to really dig into my emotional intelligence. It wasn't about what I showed the world. It was about what was going on inside of me. How did I see things? Was I seeing things through a limited emotional state? Was I bringing in past traumas? Or was I adopting a Eurocentric view of myself as a businesswoman and as a conscious entrepreneur? Was I limiting myself by calling myself an entrepreneur? Right? I started realizing that I'm really an artist, just that business is my canvas. And so as I started to study what my emotions mean, how my emotions are a compass that tell me where I'm going, I started to understand struggle, which was a hard one, right? That's tough. I started to understand the purpose and the necessity of struggle because I started to study it. And I studied it mentally and spiritually, because spiritually I felt like I got it, but mentally I didn't have it. So I began to understand what contrast means, what Allah uses to turn me in one direction or to make me do an about face if I'm going in the wrong direction. If he wants me to left face or right face or about face, oftentimes emotions are used. And sometimes you want to make sure that, not sometimes, but you want to make sure that you recognize what those emotions are telling you, because they're like a compass. They tell you where you're pointed. So that's a big contribution to the way in which I mentally do for self. Other practical ways to do for self is to pray. What does that mean? Yeah, that goes into the spiritual, but stop for a moment. Just stop. You don't have to, we talk about this on the show, you don't have to book yourself every waking hour of the day. During that prayer times, don't take any meetings during that time. And stop and pray and meditate. Give your central nervous system some relief. And what I found is that oftentimes when we're in corporate, people schedule meetings during that time. We may be in a position where we can't really control our schedule like that, but you can take 10 minutes and say, Allah, I see you, I feel you, and I love you. And just let yourself go and focus on your breath for those few minutes. Say your Al-Fatiha or Our Father, whatever religion you practice, and then let yourself go for that 10 minutes before you run into that meeting. But if you have control of your schedule and you can take breaks to do your prayers and the proper meditation, I encourage that, because you don't want to just keep firing at all cylinders all day long. You got to take a minute. See, because what you're doing when you're firing on all cylinders, it's like you're depositing in the bank. You're creating, you're painting, you're depositing, you're developing. Well, you got to step back. You got to telescope out and look at what you've just created. Let Allah talk to you and say, okay, these 4 meetings you had this morning, this is what I want you to do next. Or this is what I want you to get out of those meetings. Or you take a moment to super serve your niche. Sometimes I just sit down and everybody that's in my database, I just send a note and say, I just want to say thank you. Do you know how much more business that has drummed up? Just sometimes I just say, you know what? Whether I send out a mass email, whether I send out a mass text, sometimes I'll call people and just say, I just want to say thank you. Just want to say thank you. Send out a text message to everyone in your phone and just say, I just want to take a minute to say thank you. You will be so surprised at how much more business gets drummed up just by saying thank you. Really simple. So stop for a minute and do some things mentally to help you do for self. Do for self means that what? You got to perform towards yourself, if you will. You have to turn towards yourself. You have to give yourself some attention. You have to invest in yourself. See, because so much of what we're so accustomed to as former slaves is that somebody is always feeding us. They feed us spiritually and they tell us what to believe in, what color Jesus is, who God is, what color he is, what church to go to, what's being said at church. They feed us in the media, what to eat, what to look at, what to buy, what's important, what to wear. They feed us and even tell us who we are. This is who you are as a Black person. This is who you're not. And a lot of these things are subtle now, but they're real. There's that piece of it. There's just so much where we're always getting fed. And doing for self is taking responsibility for yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially. Then there's the physical piece of it. We can't be all spiritual scholars and then we let ourselves go physically. You know what I'm talking about. Only you have to have that intimate discussion with yourself. You see yourself in the morning when you're getting dressed. You know you need to work on some stuff. You know your health ain't all the way right. But every day you should be moving. Every day you should be doing something to invest in your body. What are you eating? Some people say, well, I eat healthy, but I don't exercise. It's not good. You know why? Because the heart's a muscle. And just like the other muscles in your body can get weak and flabby, a heart muscle can too. And so you want to keep that heart flowing. You want to keep that blood moving through your body. You have your arterial system, your venous system, and then you have your lymphatic system. The lymphatic system has no pump. It's a slow moving system. It moves through you moving. It moves through the muscles in your body. Let's say the muscles in your calf, there's lymphatics in there. So those muscles are squeezing those arteries, those veins, but they're really squeezing that lymphatic system and moving all of that old poison that the lymphatic system has captured through your body, up and out and through your body. And so we have to move. Lifting light weights is really good, or doing some type of resistance work. They say the best exercise is walking. So do a strenuous, fast, quick walk. Swimming. I walk, I swim, I lift. And that's important because you want to be moving. You want circulation. You have to move. Anything that is not moving is dying. Let me say that again. Anything that is not moving is dying. So if you're sitting up on the couch all day, reading your Bible, reading your Holy Quran, but you don't exercise, you don't move, you're dying a slow death. You got to get out there and put this entire formula together physically. What are you eating? What are you putting into your body? How much do you care about what you're putting into your body? Are you reading your labels? One of the first things that I was taught as a young Muslim is we were given an ingredients list in MGT class. And we were told to look at this list, and these are all the foods that if you see this in your food, you shouldn't eat it. And to this day, I'm sitting there if I see something new, I'm reading the label. If these ingredients are in there, all these fake preservatives and stuff, I'm not putting that in my body. I'm not putting cigarettes in my body. I'm not putting certain drugs in my body. If I get sick and I got to take a medication, I'm careful about what I take, but I understand that I may need some intervention. And that's another thing. Some of us become so natural that we think, okay, I don't have to get any help. I don't need anything. I can just heal on my own. Most of the time, the body will heal on its own. But sometimes you have a disease or you have a break or you have something that requires intervention. The body needs some help. And that's where we know we need to go to the doctor. You break your leg, yeah, it will heal on its own, but it might heal crookedly. So you may need to go to the doctor to get a cast, get it wrapped up so that it heals in alignment the way it's supposed to. You need some intervention. and that's okay. Just like a lot of times you need intervention spiritually. Sometimes that's why you go and you hear your minister and you get spiritual inspiration from shows like this and other places. Sometimes you need some intervention. There's been a break. Sometimes you need an intervention mentally because you get to a plateau, you get to blind spots and you can't see past them. Sometimes you need intervention spiritually. So you may, or physically, I'm sorry, and you may need a trainer. You may need a coach to help you. This is all part of doing for self, taking responsibility for our physical bodies, taking responsibility for our mental state, our mindset, taking responsibility for our spirituality. This is all part of bringing our own atmosphere with us. And the most common way that we think about doing for self is financially. Most of the time, when people hear that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the Black man and woman must get up and do something for ourselves in this great book right here, we go, oh, he means financially. It's not just that. It's not just that. It's all about self-improvement. So what does it mean financially? It means we take responsibility. We do for self. We're going to own and monetize our authenticity. Who are you and what did you show up on the planet to do? And what skill sets did Allah give you? How is he communicating and moving through you? And can you monetize that? Yes, you can. If he gave it to you and he put that talent in you, that can lead to you being able to sustain yourself. A lot of spiritual people get thrown off by money. That's why we're going to talk about that on the masterclass with spiritual injection tomorrow. People get spiritual and get thrown off on money. Think about money as your ability to sustain yourself, your ability to own and prioritize who you are and what you are and be yourself. Because money in this world is used as a tool of control. And so why wouldn't God intervene and give you something that allows you to break free from the tool of control that is being wielded by somebody that don't have your best interests at heart? Somebody whose very nature takes you and I off course. Why wouldn't Allah intervene? Why wouldn't there be financial intervention? So yes, and I don't even think I have to go all off into doing for self. Creating that ecosystem, supporting our own, understanding that freedom ain't free, investing in projects that matter. Yes, you can invest in Microsoft. Yes, you can invest in Tesla. Yes, you can buy some stocks in crypto, but you can also invest in something that preserves your history, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. What does investment mean? Investment means you're going to get a return on your investment. So when we think about investments, we got to think about nation building. It's not always that you're going to get a check back. So if you invest in your child, you may not get a check out your child, but you may get some results out of your child, which is a return on your investment because you see them doing better. You create generational wealth. You see them really elevating. You see them extending the legacy of your people, your family. When you invest in your spiritual community, you pay charity, you make a donation, you're investing in the ongoing concern of that institution and that institution's ability to inject in you the spirituality that you need in order to do for self spiritually. So that's why you're investing. And so investing has to be more nation focused, more conscious entrepreneurs, conscious investing, consciously introducing much needed goods and services into our community, doing for self. I'm doing for self when I go a few extra exits and go see my sister to get my nails done instead of somebody who doesn't necessarily support my community. It don't even have to be negative against the person that I'm not going to anymore, but it's positive towards my sister, because if I'm circulating this money anyway, why not circulate it to somebody who looks like me and help them advance their goal and advance what it is that they want? Why not? Why not take a moment to buy black or buy black Muslim? Why not? You spending the money anyway. We're the biggest consumers on the planet. So why not do for self and focus on having your money go into the right situation? See, this is all about the energy and the psychology of money. And I'm the kind of person, I will not allow my money to go where it's not wanted if I can help it. And I will not allow my money to follow behind disrespect and hate. If you don't like me, you got a problem with me, you got an issue with me, you a bad actor, you don't get my money. So even when I'm interviewing people to work for me, there are behavioral interviews. There's all kinds of things that I do. But if you got an issue with me, you don't get my money, because my money does not go where I'm not wanted. My money is an extension of me. Now, of course, we live in a world that sometimes we can't always control that, but I try to be as conscious about that as possible. Conscious as possible. One subject that's been coming up a lot among my friends is, do you help people that you're in a relationship with? Whether you're dating them or, you're married to them, do you give of your resources to that person? Again, I say to them, look at where your money's going. If this is somebody that's just trying to use you, or they want to use your money to go invest in something bad, or use your money to go do something illegal, of course you don't want the energy, your good energy of your money, to go to that bad thing or that bad person, or that person who really is just there to use you as a sugar daddy or use you as a sugar mama. Of course you don't want that. But is it something that is going to be a continuation of the beautiful energy that came from your mind and came from your heart, and the hard work that came from your body that generated those resources to you? When you give it back out, where's it going? Is it going to somebody that loves you? Is it going to somebody that loves your people? Or is it going to somebody who's going to use your money as a weapon against you? That's the question. That's what we got to think about. So these are ways in which we have to raise our awareness and think about doing for self in a more broader capacity. You know how good it feels for me when I say, you know what? I helped my sister. I helped my brother today. If I'm looking for something, I try to see, is there anybody that I know that sells this? Any of my friends, anybody that will tell you that I'm always trying to see if I can invest in them and pour into them. Why? Because that's how I know that money will always come to me. And I'll always be blessed with money, because I'm always conscious of where it goes and how I use it. I'm not hoarding it like I ain't gonna never get no more. I save for a rainy day, of course, but I'm allowing it to flow. So when I'm in need, I give. If I need some money, I give. If I want something, I give. And I work to create a flow in my life. I don't use money to make myself think that I'm better than the next person. Oh, I got a better car than you. I got a better house than you. I think I'm all that. I got better clothes than you. I got this from Africa and this from Italy and this from China. And I got better. I told y'all what I put on my body. What I do is really just me saying, thank you, Allah. I love you. When I put these color combinations today, let me tell Allah I love him and I thank him in this way. Let me look like this today. So that when you see me, it looks like I love Allah and I'm grateful to him. So that's going to be the same way. If I go to the grocery store, before I put my credit card in the machine, before I pull my cash out, I stop for a moment. I don't give a damn how long the line is. And I say, thank you, Allah. I love you. Sometimes I just say, Asante. I asante my money before it goes out. If I get a bill that comes in and I'm able to pay it, I say, thank you, Allah. Thank you for allowing that surprise bill to be covered from the resources that you've blessed me with. If I see a bill come in that I can't pay for at the moment, you know what I say? Thank you, Allah, for the resources to cover this bill, because I know it's going to come to me. Because why wouldn't God, why wouldn't Allah want to settle in with you if you got them kind of intentions? Because all you want to do is serve him with the resources and what he has blessed you with. I tell you all the time, I give free game, and I do these podcasts, and I've been doing them since 2009. Why? Because I have bought and paid for some wisdom, and ain't no need in you paying for it. And I've been through enough that if I can help you and share with you with what I've been through, because I don't believe that Allah created these type of situations where I've had to struggle, or this type of contrast where I had to stress out and go through pain, just so that the beauty of the victory can remain my own. It's selfish. I take the beauty of the victory and I put it on the shelf. And I go, yeah, I'm all that because I've been through this and I got over it. Nuh-uh. See, a prophecy for one is a prophecy for all. Whatever, what I've been through is something that you can use. Then I will give it to you so you can use it. So I mess up the game because I give free game. I charge for services. So I'm going to give you the game. But if you want me to come in and give you a service and help you figure out how to apply that game to your business, that's what I charge for. But the game is free. You see the difference? Because what's happening, you got all these coaches on TV, all these people coming out. Everybody's a coach. Everybody's a consultant. Everybody charges to help you do this or that, but they don't give you free game. They charge you for the game. You end up paying the $4.99 and you go to this seminar and you go to this webinar, and all they're doing is giving you the verbal game. You don't get that with one-on-one sessions with me. I'm going to give you the game for free. That's why I give you a session for free, so you can get the free game. But it's the services we're going to roll our sleeves up and dig into and help you get to that next level. And there's people who just do my nails, and I give them free game on how to expand their shop or their business. There's people who may do my facials, and I say, you know what? This is something you can do. This is how you can expand your business. Why? Because I want that flow. I want that flow of abundance and that flow of wealth around me everywhere I go. If I don't do nothing but just smile at you, I'm determined to be an asset and to be a conduit for the energy and the spirit of Almighty God, Allah. And that is doing for self. When you know yourself and you see yourself as an extension of that power greater than yourself. I joke around and say, those are my bosses. I joke around and say, look, this is who I work for. But it's true. It's a joke, but it's true. So, anyway, y'all, I see y'all in the chat. I hope y'all got something from that. I'm going to stop there. Let me see what y'all saying here. I see the greetings. Let me just start at the bottom. Sister Felicia said, you are humble. Because it's not me. It's Allah. And the more I pray and I open up and ask him, come through me. Let me be your conduit. Let me be your medium of exchange. Just use me. This is your body anyway. And I'm going to do my part to do for self. I'm going to do my part to keep it up physically. I'm going to do my part to eat right. I'm going to do my part to work out. I'm going to do my part to put lotion on my body so my skin ain't looking messed up. I'm going to do my part physically to the extent that I can, because I want you coming through here. I'm going to clean up all the clutter. When you come through here, I don't want no dust in the hallway. I don't want no cobwebs in your face. Come on through here, Allah. I'm going to do my part spiritually. I'm going to read. So if you decide you want to come through me in that way, here we go spiritually. Here we go mentally. I'm always cleaning up the windows, wiping everything down because I want Allah to come on through. And I want him to feel comfortable to come on through and sit down and dwell. So let's see. Very timely. Thank you. You're welcome, Brother Lamont. Sister Marvelous. Marva is just now joining us. Wa alaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem. Sister Marva, you're going to have to go back and stream this one. Brother Robert 11X Minor says the game is told, not sold. That's his right. He says, sister, you are teaching the gospel of do for self, which is our love for Allah. And the gospel of do for self. Sister Letha got emojis. I see Sister Felicia again. It feels good to me when I'm in tune with the believers. Absolutely. So yeah, so I just wanted to maybe I should have called this the gospel of doing for self. I don't know. Anyway, make sure you all go out, get your commemorative Elijah coin. Y'all saw my little commercial that I did for it. Make sure you go out, you get it. This, I'm telling you, this means something way more spiritually significant than what we know right now. I see just a short 2 to 3 years behind Allah's inspiration to get these graded coins with the membership number on the back that now people are saying, buy these commodities, buy gold, buy silver, buy copper, and buy it in a collectible fashion. They're even saying, there's people who talk about how they have in their safe at home, like bullion cubes or something. If you go out there and listen to people like Lynette Zhang, she's a commodities trader and an analyst in the gold, silver, and copper market. All she talks about is buying your commodity in a collectible manner. Now, I don't want the SEC tripping. I'm not calling this a commodity, but I'm saying this is copper. And I'm saying that this gonna mean something because of whose face is on it and whose house is on the back and what it will get you in exchange. And because we have a limited number of them, this is just supply and demand. We're not talking about this being a minted security. So don't start tripping, folks. Supply and demand, because we got a limited supply of them. And if you know what I'm talking about, you follow me. There's only so much copper from the messenger's home. The value of this is going to go up. So get it today. Go to sajdahhouse.com. If you're not ready to get your coin, go to sajdahhousedonations.com, which is scrolling across the bottom, and support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. All right, peace and blessings, family. Enjoy your Ramadan. Today is Saturday. Do something beautiful for somebody today. Don't beat up on yourself. If you have had some missteps in Ramadan, you can make up the days afterwards, or you can go and give in charity. So people have been asking me, because sometimes people are sick and we refer them to Imam Sultan Rahman, who does these beautiful Ramadan readiness courses and training. And he's always talking about what you can do if you're not able to do it, or if you get a little ill and you can't hang. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Still, again, what's our thing? Thank you, Allah. I love you. Every single thing. All right. Peace and blessings, family. And make sure you like and subscribe to this page. Don't forget. Don't get off of here without liking and subscribing. All right. Peace and blessings. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.